Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Mountaintop with Everest Leach. I, of course, am your host, Everest Leach, and this is something that I've been wanting to kind of try out and take a stab at for a while as a video podcast of my own of sorts. And so this is what that's going to be. It's going to be interesting starting out. I've never done anything like this all on my own before. So it's going to be different, but yeah, I've wanted to start something up like this for a while. This is it. It's called The Mountaintop. I'm Everest, and this is going to be a sports-centered, sports-focused podcast, as sports are one of, if not my main love. It is, what I'm going to school for at Emerson College is sports communication as well as journalism. I love sports broadcasting, sports media. It's where I'm pursuing a career, and I love watching and talking about sports. So that's going to be the main focus of this podcast. But those who know me also know that I am a man of many interests, many hobbies. So we are not going to do solely sports here on this podcast. I want to talk about movies. I want to talk about music. I'm a big pop culture guy, film especially. We will get into some of that stuff. But this is going to be kind of sports focused, and I want to take this first episode to do a little bit of introductory stuff, make sure anyone listening, you get to know me and kind of what I'm about, as well as maybe my favorite team, some of my favorite players. We're going to do a segment towards the end where I just list sort of my favorite sports moments that I've watched throughout my life and kind of go back on those and talk about what made them so special to me. But we've got a bunch of other stuff too. So first off, I already said, but I'm Everest. And yeah, I just finished up my second year going to school for sports communication as well as journalism at Emerson in Boston, Massachusetts. I love it out there, and I've gotten to have so many great opportunities to work within this industry that I love so much, doing stuff like sports broadcasting and sports talk and debating sports. So that's been really magical. I fell in love with sports when I was, around 5 years old. I fell in love with football. That was how it happened first. My grandpa, football coach for many years, coached Division II, the Northern Michigan University Wildcats, and they actually won the D2 national championship while he was a coach there, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, I was around 5, and I had just been kind of repositioned in life. Big life event happens. I end up in Philadelphia, and I fall in love with football. My grandpa starts getting me into it. My family is very supportive, and I just love it. I watched that whole NFL season. I watch college football, and I really fall in love with the Eagles and the city of Philadelphia and their sports teams. I have since moved away from Philadelphia for the majority of my life. But Philly's still it for me in terms of sports, man. I love my Eagles, love my Phillies. I wish they could get it done one of these years. They've been so close. And the Sixers and Flyers, you know what? They're figuring it out. But at the end of the day, I do just love sports. So whatever it is, if there's an intriguing storyline, if there's an intriguing player, team, I can get on board. I'm a big LeBron guy. People who know me maybe know that a little too well. LeBron's my guy. I think he's the GOAT. We can get into that maybe someday on this podcast. But love LeBron, so I've been following the Lakers really closely. I have ties to Michigan as well, so all the Detroit teams will have a special place in my heart. But yeah, I'm a Philadelphia guy. Love my Eagles. That's my favorite sports team by far, and I'm happy about it right now because they've been on a great run. They've been really well run as an organization. They're in good hands. So that has been going really well. But other than that, I started to get into basketball a little bit later in my life. I've always had a love for college sports and March Madness especially. I got really into from a young age as well. The NBA stuff came a little bit later, but college sports, there's just an atmosphere to it. There's a vibe to it that is so special, even if the level of play isn't as high as you'll see in the professional leagues, that it always is a draw for me. I love watching college football, even with all the changes that the NCAA and college football as a whole has been going through. I still think I think they're on the ups. I mean, I think college football is improving. I think it's getting more interesting. There's obviously kinks and stuff to work out, but big college football guy. We'll talk about that on this podcast as well. NFL, college football, NBA, March Madness, keeping up with NHL, MLB, and WNBA, Women's Hockey League getting going, Professional Women's League. Immaculate. Just awesome to see. So I love all that stuff, and it's been a great time for sports. NBA Finals and NHL Finals, Stanley Cup, been incredible so far. I mean, you can't make up a better first 3 games. 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals both go into overtime. They're awesome. And then that first game of the NBA Finals, as I'm recording this, game 2 is tonight. But wow. The Pacers might have devil magic. They are an incredible story. Tyrese Halliburton, maybe one of the clutchest runs we've just ever seen. So yeah, sports have been really good. I've been having a great time watching those finals, and I hope they continue to live up to the start, because, oh man, if they do, we're talking about some all-timers, some classics. But yeah, with that said, that's kind of who I am. I love sports, I love competition. I'm kind of addicted to competition, and I love the storylines and the personalities and how connected sports are to the rest of our world in general, and drawing those comparisons between, going from a low point to a high point, or a high point to a low point, and having to come back and get redemption, or finding yourself within this team, and everything that goes into it. I love sports. You guys will get to know that about me. But I figured something that could be kind of interesting to do as a first episode topic, because I am so invested in this world of sports media and sports talk, sports debate. I consume a ton of sports content. I'm getting involved in producing it and making it. I want to go over some non-negotiables that I have for sports media, sports talk, sports debate, whatever you want to call it. Some things that I either can't deal with or need to feel most comfortable and most engaged in a sports conversation, because there are so many different ways and diverse avenues that you can take in talking about sports, and that's great. I encourage that. I don't want any 2 sports conversations to look the same way. However, there are some things that I either want to see or don't want to see across all of them, that there's some stuff that happens a lot in sports talk that is toxic, that I just don't like, and that I think is unproductive. And there's some stuff that I think we need to have in sports conversations in order to make them productive, engaging, at least for me. So I'm going to go over some of those right now, and I hope that you'll indulge me. These are my sports talk, sports media non-negotiables, and I want to start off with context and nuance. You have to acknowledge context and nuance when you're talking about any situation in sports, because there is so much of it, and it all matters. It has to figure into your discussion. We see this a lot with ring culture, or talking about championships versus individual accolades, individual stats, team success versus individual success. It can't all be about the stats on the stat sheet, and it also can't all be about the end result. Did they win the championship or did they not? Did they make it this far or did they not? Because so much goes into both of those things, and I don't think you can ever dilute a sports discussion to as black and white as they won the championship or they didn't, or this player had an awesome regular season because of these stats, he threw this many touchdowns, or he didn't. That's one thing I've been really pushing, is let's educate ourselves on and acknowledge the context of these discussions that we're having, because they make them so much more interesting. They make it not a black and white discussion. You can look at a player like Joe Burrow and you can say, well, his defense really was bad this past season. He still played excellent, and we should acknowledge that and we should celebrate that. Joe Burrow was incredible this past NFL season, but at the same time, he's on a team that wasn't good enough to make it into the playoffs, and that also matters, but you have to contextualize things And I think it would make the sports talk world a whole lot better of a place if people not even used all the time, just acknowledged and realized that there's a ton of nuance that plays into this stuff. So that's the first thing I wrote down. Second thing I wrote down, a willingness to admit when you are or have been wrong. This is something that irks me to no end, is sports commentators just doubling down, moving the goalposts, changing what they said because they are so scared of being wrong. This also happens where you'll have people just playing it safe the whole time and what they're saying they think is going to happen. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong, guys. That's one thing I've realized getting into this industry, talking about sports, watching sports. You're gonna be wrong sometimes. That's what we love about sports, is they are unpredictable. Things can change in the blink of an eye, and that's awesome. I mean, I love that. At the same time, we can't just act like, oh yeah, we knew everything that was gonna happen, or no, I didn't really say that when I did. I was a part of a production at my college this past year, and I said NBA playoffs were just starting up. I said the Lakers were the second best team in the Western Conference. I said if it wasn't the Thunder going to the finals, it was going to be the Lakers. They got bounced in 5 games in round 1. And I was wrong about that. And that, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's okay. And I think more people just need to be conscious and willing to admit when they're wrong, when they fail. That's a great analogy for life, just in general. I mean, you can't always be right. Next thing I wrote down for my non-negotiables, the acknowledgement that politics and sports are inherently intertwined. You have to acknowledge this. It drives me nuts when people don't, or want to completely stray away from it. I had a professor at Emerson College. His name is Dr. Charles Steinberg, and he's the president of the Worcester Red Sox, the minor league affiliate for the Boston Red Sox. And he always says, sports and politics are next door neighbors. They're not, in the same house. They're not the same thing, but they are closely related. They're next door neighbors. I see people all the time. Oh, keep the sports, keep the politics. You can't do that. And it's not even a fact that everything regarding sports has to be some grand political message. It's nothing like that. It is simply the fact that they work in tandem together, and sports are a reflection of our lives and our relationships to others. And politics, it's the same thing. They go together. One can boost up the other. One can also tear down the other. As we've seen it go both ways in just recent years. So I think this idea that you can't have politics in sports, or keep the sports, it's ridiculous. Sports and politics, they're meant to go together. They're meant to be talked about in relation to one another, and that's just kind of how it is. So if you're one of those people, keep the sports. I'm sorry, I love sports too, but politics are a part of it. So that's a non-negotiable for me. Moving on, I just wrote down, you gotta love it, or you have to be working to try to love it. Whatever it is you're talking about, in this space, I'm really interested in the passion, more so than being right all the time. I love when, we have experts or analysts that are right on the money about something, and it makes total sense. It's a great take, whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know everything you're talking about to a T. Just be passionate, be enthusiastic about it. That's what I've always tried to do, is I think I do have this sense of innate passion for sports and what I'm interested in and what I'm talking about. And I never want to lose that, because that's what makes this all interesting. That's what makes this all matter. So I see too many people, personalities on television, whatever, who maybe are talking about sports and maybe are trying to act like they know what they're talking about, or that they're know-it-all, or an expert, or an analyst, whatever. But you can just tell deep down that they don't really care. They're not really invested in what they're talking about. And it's a buzzkill for me. I want you to love it. I want people to love it. And even if they're not in that phase of loving it quite yet, the fact that they are learning or trying to learn or trying to love something. I hope that makes sense. Maybe I'm just yapping. I'm just going off, whatever. But I'm really into passion. Passion's big for me. And especially in sports, I think you gotta have it. And one more thing that I wrote down that kind of branches off of passion in a weird way. It's, can we stop the gatekeeping? The gatekeeping in sports is horrible. And it's a huge reason why sports and the sports industry as a whole has othered so many for so long. And we can start, kind of lighthearted and micro with this concept of gatekeeping. Bandwagons, right? Let's say, your team is doing really well and you have people who maybe haven't been super invested in the sport before or are just learning about the sport, and they're kind of getting into it and they're starting to like your team and kind of join you in this joy. And you go, hey, name 5 players. Can you name 5 players on the team? I don't think you can. Or you just started watching them last month. You've only been with them since they've gotten good. I really don't like that. I think there's something that I fundamentally disagree with in this bandwagon culture, or in this oh, I'm good enough for my sport, but you're not, or you haven't done the homework to love this sport in the same way that I have. I think we gotta encourage everyone to love whatever they want in whatever way that they want. I think the more points where someone can come into sports and fall in love with it in their own way, the absolute better. I really don't get this, oh, I'm gonna only be able to talk X's and O's at this level because that's the only point where I feel like it's valuable, or that's the only point where I respect someone, is if they know this much about ball. Do you know ball? It's another one of those things I'm not big on. I think let's let people love sports in whatever way they want to, whatever way they can, whatever way they feel comfortable. No gatekeeping. That's a big one for me. And I think if all of these things are kept in mind, sports talk, sports discussions, they'd be a much, much better place overall. So, that's the list. Context and nuance, huge one for me. Admit when you're wrong. Politics and sports, they are related. Sorry. And let's have passion, but let's not keep other people's passion out of this. That's what I want. That's what I'm about. That's what I will strive to do here on this podcast. And I hope that comes through. All right. I want to take a short little break to do a pop culture corner, as I'm going to call it, because as I mentioned before, I'm not just a sports guy. I love all sorts of stuff, from Broadway and musicals to movies and film. I mean, I almost went to school for film. I love it. I love going to the movie theater. I love keeping up with the Oscars. So that is a big love for me. And to be honest, it's shaping up to be a great year for movies and for film. Obviously, the one I want to talk about the most, I think the biggest success of film and cinema overall this year has been Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler. I saw it twice in theaters. I thought it was just excellent. That's kind of the headliner for me, and I hope that it can carry through to Academy Awards season, because it's so deserving, even though it came out in the spring. That movie was a special theatrical experience. It's been one that I've loved thinking about, because there's so much in it. It transcends so many different genres. It's a gangster movie, and it's also a horror thriller with vampires, and it's also a love letter to music and the blues, and it also has racial commentary and social commentary all layered throughout it. I love Ryan Coogler. I mean, ever since the first Creed movie, I've been like, yeah, that's the dude. And then Black Panther is excellent. Fruitvale Station, his debut, rocks. Really hard movie, but really good. So Ryan Coogler, I think he's an incredible talent working in Hollywood right now, and I'm so happy I got to see Sinners on the big screen. But Sinners aside, it's just shaping up to be a really good year. I mean, Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson, I thought was a joy I thought it was super fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought, yes, it was unsubtle. That's a critique that it's getting quite a bit, is that it's just it's super blunt and it is an unsubtle film, and that's true for the most part. Bong Joon-ho doesn't really do subtlety. It's very on the nose with its themes, but there are layers that if you peel back enough and you really look into it, I think you'll find some stuff that isn't just right on that surface level. Robert Pattinson's one of my favorite actors. I think he's incredible in that role. I don't know how many other people in Hollywood you could have found to nail Mickey and all of the Mickeys the way he did. So that's a sci-fi, also has a lot of social commentary, sci-fi action, sort of adventure comedy. It's everything. We're getting a lot of movies that are just everything this year. Also super romantic, sneaky romantic movie, Mickey 17. I got to see the new Mission Impossible with my dad and my friend in theaters recently. That was awesome. Little bit messy, a little bit on the messy side, but Tom Cruise and company, they just keep doing it. I mean, he is Mr. Movies for a reason. He is president of movies for a reason. And Mission Impossible was a fun time to see on the big screen. I do kind of hope they let that franchise die down at this point, because I think it's had its run and it's been an incredible run. I love a lot of those movies, but let's see Tom Cruise go back to some like dramatic, working with other big name directors. Like, I want to see the late career turn back to drama for Tom Cruise, because I think he's an incredible dramatic actor when he chooses to. So yeah, Mission Impossible, really good stuff. Companion was, I thought, a very interesting horror thriller as well. Tackles AI. That's something we're seeing a lot of now. Mission Impossible, also centered around AI. But yeah, Companion with Jack Quaid, who I like quite a bit. I think he's fun. That was good. And then we've just got a summer loaded with films. Wes Anderson's new movie just came out. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but super excited to check that one out. And then we've got F1 with Brad Pitt and the director of Top Gun Maverick, Joe Kosinski, which I'm thrilled that that's coming out soon. I can't wait to see it. It's gotten great reviews already. And we've got Superman and Fantastic Four and Jurassic World all in July. It's a good summer for movie fans. So I'm really excited about that. But other than that, Pop Culture Corner, I thought the new Sabrina Carpenter song kind of flopped. Wasn't a big fan of Man-Child, and I like Sabrina Carpenter. I thought Short and Sweet, her last album, was fun. Some songs on that are in my regular rotation, but I just kind of over this sound and this vibe with her. I didn't love Man-Child. So that's about all I've got on that. But I think we can transition back into sports for the end of this first episode of the Mountaintop, because I want to take you guys through sort of my life as a sports fan via my favorite moments, my favorite games, my favorite sports memories, because I've watched a lot of sports and I remember a lot, but there are some very particular moments that stand out to me, and I would be remiss if I didn't start with 2010 NFL season. I am in Philadelphia with my family. I am, by this point, a big Eagles fan. I've been indoctrinated. And Eagles-Giants, the miracle at the New Meadowlands, Deshaun Jackson returns the punt return as time expires for the Eagles win to clinch the division, clinch the playoffs. Oh my gosh. I remember the apartment that I'm in just goes wild. Like, you can hear it through the walls, through the different floors. Everyone's freaking out. First of all, the comeback was just insane, and then to end it like that on a Deshaun Jackson punt return for a touchdown. Remarkable. It's the first sports moment that I remember where I was like, oh my god, I feel something special here. And I just can't believe I watched it live, and I was in Philly for that. It's so cool. It's such a cool moment. Other than that, sort of that same time frame, getting into sports, falling in love with football, the Oregon-Auburn national championship with Cam Newton on that Auburn team. Auburn ends up winning it. Cam Newton gets the natty right before he goes into the draft. And this was the first sporting event that I remember I was allowed to like stay up late to watch. My grandma and I stayed up until like midnight to watch the Natty, and it was a special moment. I was cheering for Oregon just because I loved their uniforms. I thought they were so cool. I'm still an Oregon Ducks fan because of their uniforms and because of that time back then. So go Ducks. Hoping they can finally cap one off here sometime soon. Dan Lanning, big fan. But yeah, that 2010 Oregon-Auburn National Championship wasn't a great game by any means. I think it ended up being like 22-19 or something like that, and Auburn wins on a last-second field goal. It's not the most incredible of games, but it was close, and I got to stay up late for it, so that's a special one for me. Sticking with just college football memories, because I have so many of those. The Auburn-Bama kick six, the kick missed field goal return in the Iron Bowl for a touchdown. Auburn wins it. Unbelievable. I mean, I watched that live with my family. We couldn't believe it. We're all cheering for Auburn because we don't like Alabama. We're sick of them winning all the time. It's the New England Patriots thing. It's the New York Yankees thing, whatever. We are cheering for Auburn, and we go nuts when he starts returning that kick. It's still one of the most unbelievable endings to a sporting event ever, and I get chills just thinking about it again. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. Another one, Baylor and TCU with RG3 on Baylor have just the most insane shootout you've ever seen in a college football. The final score is like 70-63. Both offenses score like 10 touchdowns. It's just nuts, and Baylor ends up winning it. I was cheering for TCU, so that was unfortunate. Also liked their colors and their uniforms. That was about it. But Baylor TCU is an amazing football game. They kept scoring, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. I didn't know you could score this many points in a football game. So that's one that really stands out to me. Other than that, I feel like we have to get to both Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl wins, 52 with Nick Foles and the Philly Special, and just a magical run for that team. I remember when Carson Wentz, who had the incredible season, gets injured and goes down. I was young, and so it's hard as a younger kid to like process hope in that moment. So I thought the season was just done. Like, I was devastated. And then Nick Foles comes in, he has an unbelievable playoff run, and we win the Super Bowl. And it was the first time I got to see my favorite team win a championship, and it was awesome. Unforgettable. But what was maybe even better was this past year, Super Bowl 59 over the Kansas City Chiefs. This Eagles team with Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Saquon Barkley. Particularly because I was at college and covering sports and talking about sports and in sports classes around those people. For this Eagles team to go on the run that they did, it was special. And that Super Bowl, just dominant. Just put your foot on their neck and just whoop them for 60 minutes. That's what this Super Bowl was. I know the final score ends up being 40-22. That Super Bowl was 40-6. And the Eagles just crushed them. It was awesome. It was the most stress-free Super Bowl I could ever imagine. After the first half, I was just riding high, coasting. Incredible. I'm so blessed that I've gotten to watch my team win 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. It's pretty awesome. Other than that, this one might surprise some of you. The 2022 World Cup. I'm not a big soccer guy. I didn't mention soccer at the top of the show. The 2022 World Cup was the first World Cup I ever fully watched, got into, followed. And it was just awesome. Particularly that final. They're going back and forth, and it's Mbappe and it's Messi. And Messi finally gets his World Cup win with Argentina. It was peak sports, and I'll always remember really getting invested in that. And it helped that the final match was so great. Another sort of weird one. Some people might not be like, oh, this is one of your favorite memories or favorite moments. But yeah, the NBA bubble after coming back from COVID. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, it was terrible basketball. It wasn't, the fans weren't in it. But coming out of COVID, where we didn't have sports for so long, and I didn't know what I was doing, most of the time, to then have sports again in a way that was different and new. And I wasn't crazy into basketball by this point. I didn't watch much of the regular season that year, but the bubble came back. It was some of the only sports on, with hockey also was able to do sort of a bubble. And yeah, I just watched it, and I kind of fell in love with basketball because there were good games happening. And yes, LeBron and the Lakers win that championship, and I love LeBron, and AD is just incredible in that playoff run. So that adds to it, of course, that I got to see LeBron win another championship. He played just excellent all throughout the playoffs. But that bubble was a really unique, special moment in sports that I think kind of gets overshadowed or talked down about a little bit too much. I think it was really important. And at least for me personally, I had a lot of fun watching it. The Philadelphia Phillies World Series run that they went on, also, I think, 2022, don't end up getting it done. They lose to the Astros, but I will always remember the Bryce Harper bomb to send them to the World Series. The swing of his life, bedlam at the bank, whatever you want to call it. That playoffs made me fall in love with Bryce Harper. It was as into baseball as I've been in a really long time. I used to watch the Detroit Tigers a lot with my dad growing up, but I watched every game. I knew every player on the Phillies, and it was awesome because they snuck into the playoffs. Nobody thought they were going to do anything, and then they just went on this run. And it sucks that they didn't get the job done because that looks like it might have been their best chance. But yeah, still really, really cool to be a fan and be a part of that. And then sticking with baseball, Little League World Series. Super underrated, super fun event. I used to watch all the time when I was younger. I played Little League. And so watching the Little League World Series with my dad, with my family, every year, awesome time. Just getting connected to these 12-year-olds that are way better than I ever was. It's a pretty cool experience, and you can tell there's love for the game there, and it's all about having fun. And that's what I love about sports. I love when sports are fun. I love to compete. Excuse me. But Little League World Series, kind of everything I love about sports. I like watching the College World Series each year, each summer too. So yeah, I think that's kind of all I have written down for now. Obviously, there are way too many memories and moments to count. But those are, I would say, if you put into a crystal ball, like all of Everest's favorite sports stuff, that would be a lot of it that's in there. I love the Eagles. Just thinking about their Super Bowl run again has me hyped up. As far as some of my favorite games or history that I didn't get to watch live, I mean, I love going back into NBA history and watching The Last Dance and the Lakers and Celtics of the 80s and stuff like that. I'm kind of an NBA historian more than I am an NFL one. But also a couple college football games. The 2005 Rose Bowl between Texas and USC with Vince Young on Texas. I watched it. I used to watch all these greatest games that they'd have on demand on ESPN or whatever. They just have archives of old games. You could just watch them, and there wouldn't be any commercials, and it would be incredible. Excuse me. But Texas USC, incredible game. It's kind of hyped up as the best college football game ever played. I think it deserves that, as well as the Boise State Oklahoma upset in the 2007 Fiesta Bowl. That's just incredible. All the trick plays, Statue of Liberty, the hook and ladder. I'll always kind of have a soft spot for Boise State because of that. Now, Ashton Genty was such a cool story. But yeah, I think that's it. Those are some of my favorite sports moments. If you're watching and want to drop some of your favorites down below in the comments, I'd love to read them. I'll try to reply back to them all, see if I've seen them or not, shared that experience with you or not. But yeah, once again, I just want to say thank you for watching or listening. I think I'm going to stick primarily to the video format here on YouTube at the Mountaintop, try to grow this a little bit, but I'll see if I can upload onto the other podcasting sites as well. And I'm just excited to see where this goes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye.